We want to explore something together today called Commitment to Excellence in Scholarship and Teaching. Take a look at that. You might just read through that yourself. And I know what you're thinking. I know. You're thinking, boring. I didn't come to chapel to hear a lecture on excellence in scholarship and teaching. I came to chapel to hear about Jesus and have my faith inspired and grow and develop and so on. So my fundamental thesis is this. My fundamental thesis is that all teaching, all scholarship, all learning is grounded in a sense of, this is the word I want to leave you with today. It's a wonderful word. In fact, the word is wonder. When you were a little kid, what it was like to see something for the first time. Do you remember that? I see Dr. Unander over there. He became a biologist. I think he became a biologist amongst other reasons, because there was a sense of wonder in a little guy one day, probably walking along a beach or through a forest and looking at something, and he was so caught up in the wonder of what he was looking at that he was drawn out of himself. Remember what that was like? Every one of you has had that experience at least one time. When you looked at something and it was just, all you could do was say, wow, look at that. Look at that. Wondering at something. And it's so beautiful, it's so magnificent, it's so intricate, it's so delightful. You just can't get enough of it. All scholarship, all teaching, all learning is grounded in that sense of wonder. I remember being at Regent College up in Vancouver a few years ago. Walked into a classroom, was wondering what was going on, sat down in the back, and the professor had taken slides of crystalline structures taken with an electron microscope. So it was already way beyond me. But I wanted to look at the slides, so I just sat in back and looked at the slides. They were exquisitely beautiful. Exquisitely beautiful. Light, structure, form. And I sat in the back thinking, what in the world is God like? Because for millennia upon millennia, the only person that could look at these structures was God. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I can almost hear an intra-Trinitarian conversation. Something like this, one word. Wow. Wow. We're all wired differently, but we're wired to be in relationship with people who have gone deep in these areas. In a manner of speaking, we're like apprentices, and we come to a place like Eastern to be with masters who have mastered a given field and then possess the ability to take that field and communicate it to us with a sense of what? Wonder.